Getting right into today's video, we are going to be doing my crusty dusty toes. I am back with another toe video. As you guys can tell, I am going to be transforming my toenails into a little bit of a spring vibe. I am absolutely keeping the same white base. I am obsessed with white toes, and if you are not, good for you, because it is a toxic trait to have. I feel like nothing else looks good other than white toenails. So I am actually going to be using this as my base and then transitioning different designs throughout the springtime, summer, and then during the winter I'll be changing them out, I promise. But for now, because I did use Polygel in my last toe video, I figured I would go ahead and do a fill for you guys. And you guys can kind of see the process of that on my toenails. So I'm just starting off with my e-file at about 7,000 RPMs. Along with that, I'm using the Not Polish 5-in-1 bit. And I'm just going in, removing the top coat, and then on the rest of my toenails, I do have gel polish. So I'm going to be lightly filing that down with this bit and then fully removing it with my mandrel bit. So super careful. I'm just kind of debulking it just a little bit, and as soon as I see a little bit of my natural nail pop up, I steer clear from that toenail because I don't want to overly damage my base, which is my natural nail. So we're going to be very careful, very light pressure. And I will say that it is so hard to do your toes on camera. I went ahead and did my other foot off camera, and I did it in like a third of the time, and it's just simply because I don't have to worry about staying in focus and all that good stuff. So I struggled, I huffed and puffed, but we are getting it done. So again, I'm just gonna go in a little bit more and try to remove some more. Now you can kind of tell that I had a little bit of some cracking on my big toe, and that I think was just the top coat that I used. Sometimes it cracks on my toenails, I'm not quite sure why, but I did have quite a bit of staining on that white polygel from my hair color. So just disregard that. I'm going to go ahead and cover it so it's not that big of a deal, but you can definitely see the stain right there wherever the top coat was cracked. So I'm just going to go ahead and now go in with my mandrel bit. I have now moved my speed down to 4,000 RPMs, and I'm just very carefully with very light pressure going on top of the surface and just buffing off that gel polish. Now I was gonna try to soak them off for you guys so you guys can kind of see that as well, but I forgot my foil, so I'll definitely do that in my next toe video so I can go ahead and be a little bit safer with the removal process and kind of let you guys see the process of that as well. So now I'm just going in, also buffing the shine off of my natural toenail, and I want to make sure that I'm doing that so everything adheres really well and stays on the entire time that I wish to have this toe design on. Now I'm going in with my hand file. This one is a Kiara Sky hand file, and I'm just going in and kind of squaring off my toenails as best as possible. I always trim my toenails down as they grow out. Even though I'm not redoing my toes at the moment, I go ahead and trim them so they stay pretty short for the most part. So I'm just basically trying to square them off just a little bit more, as I really like the squared look on my toes. I'm going in with this needle bit from Profile's Backstage, still at a speed of 5,000 RPMs. I'm gonna go in and carefully go around that cuticle area, and I'm really removing all that dead skin from my toes. And as you can see, I'm really pulling apart that skin so that I can expose a little bit more of that natural nail and really make sure that I am fully getting rid of that. And of course, always be careful with this. You do not want to hurt yourself. So very low speed and very light pressure when doing this. Now I'm going in with my cuticle ball bit, and again, speed of 5,000 RPMs. Very carefully going around that cuticle, just buffing off any excess dead skin that I may have. Trust me, this bit is a lifesaver, so I'm just going around and around until I fully get it off. And now I'm just squaring off my big toe as well, making sure that I have the desired shape of my liking. And then I did realize that I hadn't even buffed off the shine from my natural toenail on this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and quickly do that as well. I'm just kind of trying to smooth everything out first with my hand file so that the polygel application goes on there flawlessly. So now I'm taking that mandrel bit once again, going around that cuticle area and just really buffing off the shine so that the polygel adheres really well. Now I'm going in with a lint-free white from Kiara Sky and a little bit of Young Nail Swipe. I did leave a little bit of white toe gel polish just because I honestly feel like it's super thin and it's not that serious. I'm gonna go ahead and be able to cover it. So we're just gonna leave it like that. It's completely fine. You won't even be able to notice it afterwards. Now I'm gonna go ahead and start applying my white gel polish onto all of my little toes. And I am using this amazing white gel polish from Profiles Backstage. It is my go-to. You literally just have to do one coat. I always do two just to add a little bit of strength and a little bit more thickness to that nail, but you definitely just need one coat of this. It's super vibrant, super opaque, and I just absolutely love it. So definitely recommend it for a very white gel polish. And I'm just going around carefully, just doing one swipe and then kind of infilling the rest of the toenail very carefully. It is a little bit tricky, especially in the position that I was trying to film this. You guys would have probably laughed at me. So I'm just gonna go ahead and finish that off. We're gonna be popping that into the LED light from Kiara Sky for a full round of 1 minute. You wanna make sure that you are fully curing that the whole way. I'm going in with my second coat once it's all cured, very carefully. I really like doing a second coat, especially because it just brings everything all together. It looks so much better. And then of course always clean up any little spillage that you may have. And I'm not too concerned about the tips as of right now because I'm going to go ahead and fix that later. So even though you can see a little bit of areas that are like sticking out, I'm not too concerned about that. And then again, remember to cure that fully in the light so that you don't get any smudges. Now for polygel application, I am starting off by applying the base coat to my natural nail and the rest of the toenail. And then we're going to be popping that in the light. I'm going to just go ahead and place it in there for about 30 seconds just to kind of flash cure it, and then we'll go ahead and apply our polygel. So once we're out of the light, I'm taking this white polygel from Makartt. They are my absolute favorite polygels to use, so definitely check them out. I'm just taking a small bead of that, using the little spatula and placing it on my toenail, and then I'm going to be using the base coat as well as my slip solution. They offer their slip solution, but I definitely prefer using the base coat. It just works so much easier. So you can see how easily I'm able to really mold it out. And I'm just starting off by really just pushing it into the areas that I want, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm evenly coating that as well. But generally just pushing it up into that cuticle area, making sure that I'm leaving a little bit of space in between, and then I start dragging the product down towards the tip of my toenail. Now you should be very careful with the base coat as well, because I've learned that if you use a little bit too much base coat as your slip solution, it will definitely make the polygel kind of melt into the cuticle area, and we don't want that. The overflow is not cute and it will cause lifting. So always just make sure you're using a little bit versus more of it. Definitely learn the hard way. So I'm just dragging it all the way down towards the tip like I mentioned earlier. And then to clean up any edges, you can tell that it is not super clean. The application is kind of wonky all around the edges of the toenail. What I'm going to do is fully clean off my brush. And by fully, I mean just really wiping it on my paper towel so that it doesn't have a lot of base coat on there. And that's really going to help me mold it to where I want it to go without making it even more slippery. So right there, I'm just kind of cleaning it on my paper towel, and then I start wiping. And you can see it's almost like a carving out method. And then I go like to the right, and then if I have a little bit too much on the right side, you can always just turn it back the other way. But that helps everything look so much more clean. And then again, I'm just gonna go the opposite way to really bring it all together. And it just looked so much better. Blessings on blessings, yeah. I see the blessings coming our way, our way, our way. Blessings on blessings, yeah. I see the blessings coming. I flattened out the tip as well just a little bit, made sure everything was fully coated. Then we're gonna be placing that in the light. I am doing the longest round in my LED light. I want to make sure that everything is fully cured, so make sure you guys are doing that thoroughly. Now once we're out of the light, I'm going to go ahead and top coat the smaller toenails, just because I do not want any tackiness that I may have left behind to get any dust. It just grosses me out, so I'd rather be safe. I'm just adding the stain resistant top coat from Young Nails, applying a thin layer of that. We're going to be curing that in the light once again. Once again, wiping off that tacky layer to make sure that nothing is sticky. Now I'm going to be taking my hand file and filing the surface of my big toe. So I have a lot better control of my hand file when it comes to filing my toes especially. So I'm just going to go ahead and play it safe. I am starting off by really just straightening out that tip. You can tell how much cleaner it looks, especially with like any little areas that were like hanging off of the toenail. It just looks a lot cleaner. And then right there I had a little bit of gel polish as well that kind of overflowed, so I'm just gently filing it off. I'm not removing any skin. I'm just making sure that I remove that so that everything looks nice and clean. So for the filing process, I'm just starting off by the tip, and then we're going to be going on top of the entire surface. And I'm trying to do this as quick as possible just to be, you know, time efficient. And then of course, very careful around that cuticle area, but I'm just basically trying to go in one motion so that I do not cut myself. And I'm really focusing on that tip as well, because I feel like that's where the bulk product was whenever I dragged it down. And so I want to make sure that it is nice and thin. Now again, with the Kiara Sky Lint Free Wipe and some Young Nail Swipe, I'm thoroughly cleaning all of my toenails, removing all that excess dust. And then we're going to be going in with our nail art. So I'm starting off with the gel liners from Profiles Backstage. The pastel collection has really become my favorite during this springtime for sure. So we're starting off by just using that brush that came with the liner and going in and doing kind of like a wavy nail art. The swirl nail art has become a trend and it is here to stay. I feel like it just looks so pretty. You cannot go wrong with it. So I figured I would do like a springy vibe. It really reminded me of like hippie vibes, which I absolutely got really excited when I realized that it was turning out just like that. So we're doing a swirl and I'm bringing it up towards the cuticle of my toenail. And I'm just kind of winging it, okay? So you want to make sure that you are curing it in between each color so that none of the colors flow together and melt. I want it to be nice and crisp. So I went ahead and cured it. Now I'm going in with this brighter pink and kind of infilling the outer areas. And then we're going to be going in with the pastel green, which is slightly bright, but definitely pastel. Absolutely love it. We're going to be doing that on the inside of the like peachy swirl. Now, of course, do not forget to clean up any little areas that you are not happy with. This is the beauty of curing in between each color. You can go ahead and wipe off any mistakes that you made with the next wet color. So I'm just going in and kind of rounding it off a little bit, making sure that I am content with that roundness. And then we're going to be curing that in the light again all the way through. And I'm going in with the pastel yellow, and I'm going to be doing some flowers. So this is where like the hippie vibes for sure come together. So I'm doing one little dot, curing that in the light, and then we're going to be going ahead and doing the little petals, my basic little flowers that I've been doing all throughout springtime. They just do not fail. So we're going in with a brighter pink once again. This time I'm using my white nail art brush from Makartt. They're linked in my Amazon storefront. I'm just going ahead and doing those very, very basic little tiny petals. And I did get out of focus just a little bit, so sorry about that. And then I'm going to be doing like a half flower towards the other side. So I'm doing like 3 little petals and then another little yellow dot right in the center of them. And then we're going to be curing that in the light. But that's basically it for the nail art portion. I think it's super, super cute. I did go ahead and switch it out on the other foot. So I kind of did the same version of the nail art, just like in a different way. If I even said that correctly, but you guys get what I'm saying. You'll see it at the end. And of course, don't forget to top coat. I'm using the stain resistant top coat from Young Nails as always because it protects from any dirtiness and also any hair color. Whenever I wash my hair, there's a lot of color that comes out. So I want to make sure that I'm protecting them at all costs. We're curing it again. This time I'm going for the longest option on the light to make sure that every single layer that I have applied is fully cured. We're going in with my favorite cuticle oil. I did go ahead and bring the one from my house because it's the one that I use on my toes, and we do not want toes and hands in the same, you know, you get it. I'm just gently rubbing that in, making sure that everything is fully cute. But that basically concludes today's video. Let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned a ton, and I'll see you guys next time.